How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another Q&A, the first of 2016. It's a Zeah special. Today we have Mod Matt K.
All right.
Mod Kieran.
Hello.
Mod Alfred. Mod Jed.
Hey.
Mod Ghost.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie.
Happy New Year.
Yes, happy New Year.
We launched Zeah today. I'm not going to make the joke saying it was a small update because it wasn't. And that wasn't funny the first time. So, first question isn't really a question, but instead a brief overview. For anybody who has been completely out of loop, has no idea what Zeah is, does anybody feel like trying to TLDR it?
I think the chat does.
Yes, it is. It's Memescape. Not really. It's not. We'll talk about that later. You've got a city with 5 houses in. If you help those houses out, you'll get favour with them, and then you will get access to new content based on that, which house you decide to choose. You have houses which are based on magic, farming, fishing, smithing, prayer,
mining as well.
but mining,
Combat.
lots of stuff. If you go in game and click on the thingy, then stuff happens.
It's a lot of stuff to remember, to be fair. Right. So to follow up with that, can you gain favor in all of the houses, or do you have to dedicate yourself to only one?
Okay, well, you don't have to dedicate yourself to a specific house, but the alignment system works that when you gain a point for one house, you lose half a point from that house's neighbours, and you lose 1 point from the non-neighbouring houses. So you can essentially have some points in one house and a lot more in another's, and you can sort of spread it out.
Okay. For the record, I'll also be making a video including somewhat of a tutorial explaining some things, but not entirely going into everything. But yeah, let's get on with the questions then. Quincy asks, will we have a Zeah map like the newcomers map on release?
Clearly not, because it's released. But I mean, in the near future, doubt it. I mean, it's. Does anybody use a newcomer map anyway?
This was followed up by a couple people saying I'd prefer that versus a normal map, because normal map shows you everything, but newcomers map you still had to kind of like guide your own way places. It was like very, I don't know.
We could.
Yeah.
I think of much better things to do than that. But
I think it's inevitable that one day we'll try and get the engine team some time to implement some kind of built-in world map for the client.
Absolutely.
That's, well, kind of better than either, because it doesn't just cover the Mistlin area or doesn't just cover the Kurend area, it covers the world map. Now, it's not a small thing, and the engine team has many calls on their time, which is why we've never managed to just jam it in between a few other updates so far. But although I'd like to prioritise the clan features over it, it's still something I do want, a proper world map again.
Yeah.
What we can't do, though, is copy the 2008 version, because what that did, when you clicked on it in the main world map area, is it just lagged your client for the next minute or so while it was getting all that stuff into memory. And then when you closed it again, it lagged your client for another few minutes while it rebuilt the 3D view. And I think if we gave you guys one of those, you wouldn't thank us very much.
Indeed.
So in the meantime, we've got the PNG picture that you can download. Rune put a link in the news posts from today's update. So you can get hold of the map information yourselves and maybe have it open in a separate window while you're playing.
Okay. For the record, these questions were obviously asked prior this week, before the update, so yeah, they'll be asking, will Zeah have this? At which point those questions have been answered for the most part, but still they're somewhat relevant. So, next question then. Fars asks, will certain parts of Zeah be free to play?
No plans at the moment. Don't think we will.
There you go.
Do we do something better with free to play? If we're going to do something with free to play, more relevant to it, I think.
Okay. Lurker asks, what are these new Insouled head drops?
So, when you're killing various creatures, you may occasionally find that the head falls with the soul still inside it. And if you had access to the necromancy spellbook, you could there and then reanimate it. And when it's around as a reanimated creature, you can kill it for a pretty hefty prayer XP bonus. Certainly a lot more than the creature's bone would have given you. If, of course, you don't have the spellbook, or don't want the spellbook, because you've aligned yourself to farming or something, then you can just take it back to the GE, sell it, and in the same way that you might with Dragon Bones, and other people can take it to the Dark Altar in Kurend and reanimate it there, where they'll get a bit of a prayer XP bonus for doing it in that place.
Yep. So if you do happen to pick one up, or see one rather, do pick it up. I don't think it's useless. There you go. Next question then. Lurker asks, sorry, there's a follow-up to that one. What monsters drop the Insouled heads, and do you plan on expanding into different monsters in the future?
At the moment, there's about 22 monsters, I think,
so.
dropping the Insouled head.
Sounds about right.
Someone's bound to have posted a picture of the spellbook by now. It's got pictures of all the heads that do it. I know there's goblins, bears,
Monkeys,
dragons,
demons,
bloodvelts, abyssal demons,
Aviancy.
and chaos druids. What the? I gave a different description for that one rather than just saying it. But that's aside. In future, while we could do it for more creatures, we could alternatively look for other kinds of spell that might make pad out of that spellbook. For example, there might be some useful places where the Archaeus magic could teleport you to. It's got a home teleport, of course, to the Dark Altar, but there could be other teleports on there like other spellbooks have. And if people have got other ideas for things that are necromantic that you might want to do, then we can totally expand the spellbook that way instead of just having more spells like the ones it's already got.
And one of the ones I like is being able to suck the soul or energy out of somebody and reduce their special attack bar would be quite a cool thing to do. That would be absolutely crazy in
Very upset if
PvP, wouldn't
somebody
it?
just walked up and did that and then walked away.
Exactly. I mean, if it's a bit, it would only work on another player in PvP, obviously. You know, so you have to be in the PvP environment, and if you do it to somebody else, it would put a skull above your head. But it'll make combat very different. But I mean, that's the sort of thing that we'll have to poll first, because that would, yeah, you see, scary, isn't it? But I mean, that's the sort of thing that we can do if you want to do it, and sort of impact in different ways along there. But that's the sort of stuff that we'd obviously have to poll to do it.
Also, since the spell bridges the gap between, life and death in some way, it could teleport you to your respawn point or something.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. More on the spellbook later, but this question's from my Wi-Fi, who asks, more on the spellbook now. Can there be expansions to the necromancy spellbook in the future, possibly summoning monsters to fight for you? I've seen a whole bunch of ideas like this.
Would you guys vote for us reanimating monsters to fight for you? Because we got so many don't do summoning complaints when necromancy was being developed, even though it's nothing like summoning in any way, shape or form.
Exactly.
That I rather got the impression that a thing like that wouldn't pass if we polled it. But if you'd like to say otherwise, do go ahead. Oh,
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of
No's, yeah, indeed.
So no, we
Yeah,
probably
there's
won't
no
end up
point in
doing
dropping
that.
it.
Yeah, it was very difficult with necromancy, because what we wanted to do is put out a base idea of what it was, and then let you guys develop it on from there and come up with your ideas of what you want it to be. And we're more than happy to add whatever you want to it, really, as long as it passes the poll clearly. But summoning was one that clearly we wanted to stay away from, because we knew we couldn't turn it into another version of summoning just with a different name.
So if you do have any ideas for additions to the spellbook, go ahead and pitch them. Probably review a couple by next week's Q&A. So next question then. Sharknado asks, will we see Big Mo since Zeah is where he lives?
We discussed Big Mo, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we said that it's nice to have him as a holiday event NPC, but not really a need to have him on Zeah as
wouldn't be
a
anything-
priority. It'd be good to have him there occasion at some point if there's time, but with the priorities that were set before us with this project, I don't really think like Big Mo is one that we're aiming for release.
Yeah.
He certainly wasn't going to be giving out clue scrolls.
Yeah.
If we that's a thing to remember.
Maybe we have a house which is his residence, but he's not there.
I mean, his style doesn't really fit too much. I suppose it fits sort of maybe
On a holiday
Shazy in a
event.
bit, but it's...
I originally wanted him to be Shazin anyway,
Yeah.
because that whole area was kind of like sort of like Eastern, Oriental, sort of like Persian style. So he would kind of like fit into that, and
Yeah.
also the colours that he wore too.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's also quite a big boy.
Yeah, he's very tall. But we have people with growth problems like gigantism in the real world, don't we? So I kind of figured he was just it happens.
Right, so he's a very big chap.
We also have dwarfs in Lava King.
We've got Little Mo as
They're
well.
not. It's can of worms.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely a can of worms, that is.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay, moving on. Kupopolo. Will Zeah offer anything for max players who prefer to play solo, who don't care about exploration or lore, and simply love to grind for XP and GP?
Max players who like to grind for XP.
Most of their solo content.
Basically,
To be honest.
Yeah.
doesn't care about exploring new content, doesn't care about lore, just wants, like, I think what he's looking for here is Best training
experience.
methods, yeah.
Yeah, it's
6
the
people
way
per
to
hour.
do that. I mean, the entire thing about Zeah when we first pitched it was that we would only poll stuff that will make it best in slot or best items in there or best training methods, and we've got no intention of doing that. We don't want to devalue anything that's out there already, and that's one thing we've tried hard to do. I think there's a bit of tweaking needs to happen still, but you know, I think we've done quite well at not devaluing any existing content, and we want to keep it that way as well.
And as for money makers, I have no idea what would be the best money maker.
Money makers, Blood and Soul Runes, or Soul Runes probably make a bit of money, I would expect. What was I thinking about as well? The
Blast
Blast
mining
Mining
should
will
be
be some
decent.
money rather than an XP gain.
Fishing,
There's something else I was thinking about.
anglerfish.
Yes, anglerfish as well. So
Ah,
there,
yeah,
there are
anglerfish.
ways to make money in there quite easily.
New herb patch. That'll contribute to herb runs.
Yeah.
No questions actually about anglerfish this week, surprisingly. But if you're unfamiliar with them, they heal, I think 22, but it's based on your hit points level.
Yeah, so it's
past
22 at
50.
99.
So you
Yeah.
get a different amount of HP healed depending on your current hit points level,
Right.
and then a 10% boost. And that can take you over your actual maximum hit points.
So they can actually bring you, if you eat one at 99 HP, for example, it'll bring you to 121, which is better than a brew. So there you go. I'd be interested to see if that would affect with Darox, as Bonfires did, when you got your hit points higher and then got them lower again. You were able to hit higher with that.
Had the Constitution update happened before Bonfires did that?
Having a clue.
Because Darok's got a bit funny after the Constitution update. It's rather hard to work out how to adapt to an equation like
Constitution was out before bonfires.
that. Okay.
But no, I don't believe it will because it doesn't increase your essential base level of HP.
Regardless, really good fish. I think that'll be a good money maker. Graves asks, will we have a toggle option to switch the new spellbook, or will it be like Lunars and Ancients where we have to pray at an altar to switch spellbooks?
There's a mage by the Dark Altar who switches you to that spellbook if you've got the required favour with the Arceus house. I think it's 60%.
There you go. So you can't just switch on the fly, you do have to go back.
I did plug it into the spellbook swap features, the usual ones, like the Lunar and Ancient, of course.
Okay, that's nice to know. Beast asks, how many different release batches will Zeah have total?
So, well, there's going to have three main ones, which is first one's obviously this one. Next one will be the raids, and the third one will be the Colosseum and stuff surrounding. There are details need to be worked on that, of course. There'll probably be lots of little updates throughout the year as we go through with it as well. So who knows how many in total, but three main ones.
After all, some of the ideas that have been sent in today are quite good in a few places, and there's a few I'd like to do, but we're not holding it back
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a few months. Things we can do, we might just do.
I imagine the Winter Todd would probably be the next sizable
Next,
release too.
That'd be nice.
Yes, I look forward to polling
Is
that
there-
one.
Well, aside from Zeah, we've also got things like Monkey Madness 2 and Jad 2.
Yeah.
And
Very
I'd like to
exciting
get
stuff.
that construction update we pitched at Runefest too.
Yes. Clans,
Loot share.
loot share.
We've got plenty of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of big stuff coming 2016.
So don't think we're abandoning the main continent either.
No, absolutely.
Right? Chat slowed down significantly. It needs to be refreshed. Next question then. Ash Keshem. Will Zeah bring the new possibility of new prayer book? Talking rigor and augury.
On a new prayer book.
Sorry. Prayer book, yeah.
Yeah, we could do a
Just
new
not
prayer
a-
book. I mean, we got curse again. The other game, there's curses, wasn't there? But you know, we could do a new prayer book. There's no reason not to.
The question is, what do we put on
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I mean, rigor and
Really?
augury are the first two, but what else will go on?
Would you not
apart
be able
from
to
that?
stick that on the Necromancer spellbook? Is it something to do with prayer in itself?
it is
And
prayer, yeah.
People want more stuff on it, so it makes sense to marry the two.
Mm.
It would be difficult to kind of combine the spell book with the prayer book, but I don't doubt our ability.
While we
It's
could
physically possible.
program prayer icons onto a spell book like that, we just probably wouldn't choose to.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you kind of like cast a spell and then for the next 30 seconds you would have the rigor boost or something.
It would, I
It's
think
not the same thing.
prayer book would probably make sense as a reward from a possible future quest as well on
Yeah.
Zeah.
Yes, or indeed those raiding dungeons with that we hope to.
Yeah, that as well.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Okay. Here's a follow-up question to that, asking, what about a dragon crossbow?
Do a dragon crossbow. Again, it all boils down to where does it come from, how's it going to work, and dragon stuff is primarily quest related, isn't it? The rewards for dragon stuff.
And
So
is
it'd
there-
have to, it would make sense to plug it into a quest at some point.
It would be the best crossbow as well.
Armadillo
Well,
is 70.
oh, we
The
have
regular
Armadillo,
would
of
be
course.
60,
Yeah.
maybe. No,
Yeah.
it would be higher. What's the rune crossbow? 61, isn't it?
Oh, the Armadillo one has always looked like it could do with a bit of a buff, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
room.
Blanken asks, how much of Zeah's content is available for level 3 skillers and 1 defense peers?
All of it, but the combat stuff, isn't it? Really?
Rather a lot.
Yeah.
And avoiding defense XP while doing the combat stuff is possible.
Yeah.
When you get those tomes of XP, well, training manuals from the Shazian house, defense is an option, but you can choose the other options instead. For a level 3 skiller, though, they could run around handing out bandages all the time and then get the ability to fight the people for the armour,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't want to fight the people for the armour, so that's probably no good.
Yes, indeed.
But
And they
one
would be able
defense
to wear
could
the
work.
armour as well if they were level 3. So
Yeah. Oh, and I think there's also a level 20 defense requirement on talking to the people.
there you go.
I think you even put a confirm option as well on the defense.
Yes, if you've got lower than level 30 defense, I think, and you choose defense XP from the reward thing, then you just don't get it. Or it says, are you sure you want defense XP? Because it isn't sure you mean it.
That is a really nice confirmation
Yeah.
question right there.
Well,
I'm sure they
accidents
appreciate that.
Accidents do seem to happen.
People will still click it.
That
And then
matter.
ask for us to take it back.
You know, Dyro in Monkey Madness gives you either, well, he gives you XP in all 4 skills. It's either more attack or more defense. And I went and changed his dialogue before that to clarify that you are getting XP in all 4, so that people don't go in there on the assumption they're only getting it in 2 of them.
That's very kind of you.
That's how you say his name.
Well, it's how I say his name, could be wrong.
I only made the mistake once, that's all it took. Next question then. Let's see here. Boulder Falcon asks, oh, here you go, Matt. How do you pronounce everything?
You see, me and Chris talking about this, right?
Everything.
So we'll start with Zeah.
Next.
Me and Chris were talking about this beforehand, and what we wanted to do was we wanted to organise it so every one single one of us pronounced it all differently. But we thought that'd be too much hard work to figure that out. So
At the end of the day, it's however you feel like. I mean, I'm gonna call Artie Ardugny or something stupid before I call it Ardoin. But Zeah, he was asking about Zeah in specific, I believe, is Zeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we pronounce it, and of course, people different dialects
Across the sea,
will
they
pronounce
might
it in different
pronounce
places.
Zeah. It might be called Zeah.
Yeah, it could be Zeah or Zeh. Zeh.
They are.
Yeah. Then we got Arceus or Arceus or Arceus.
Arceus?
Or
Arceus?
Arceus, or
I say
Arceus, or Arceus. So there's lots of ways of pronouncing that. The best one was Piscarilius, wasn't it? Because you could have
Yes.
Piscarilius, or Piscarias, or
See, that
Piscarias.
could be, yeah.
Well, because double L's are sort of Y's, aren't they, in French? So you could sort of go down that route. So
I think the
tempted,
dwarf people, the ones beginning with L, they've got the best name.
yeah, Lava Kenji,
Love a king.
Lava
Okay.
King,
Lover King.
Lava
Lava
King,
king.
The king of
Lava
lovers.
Kenji.
What are we missing here? Shazian.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, that
It's not,
that
isn't
was-
Yeah,
it?
really.
It's just again.
Shasidius.
Shazian?
Hosidius.
Hosidius.
Let's have an
Hossidus.
argument amongst all of us.
Shazien.
Is it Hossidus or
So you can see we don't know the answer.
Yeah. The chat's doing its best, but really, it's just text. So
Who came up with the
really work.
names?
Dan did.
Awkward.
He spelt them too.
Oh, really? Yeah.
moving
I
on.
wonder how you pronounce them.
Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on. Santa asks, do you still plan on raids being capable of holding up to 100 people? And can you share any more info on how they will work?
Yes. Our aim is before raids comes out to have the clan system in place, which means we can use the clan system to allow hundreds of people at a time to do stuff, or either use the friend system and then have the clan system on top of that to support clans. How it works, God only knows. We've got to figure all that out yet. More details, I would expect. What our sort of ultimate aim is, and this is sort of very high level, is we will use the random generation stuff from Dungeoneering to create caverns. So not actually a dungeon square dungeon, a cavern design randomly with bosses in it and monsters in it. And you kill one, you progress to the next one. You kill the stuff in there, you progress to the next one. You go through a journey until you get to big boss at the bottom, and you all get killed, and then you all cry on Reddit or something along those lines.
Just happened to pick Reddit.
something along those lines. But that's the way we see it working. It will scale to the amount of players and the levels, hopefully. That's sort of our big vision for it. So the bosses will get more difficult. It could work that if you pass a certain criteria, you then it has different types of attacks which are more affect groups of people better than less groups. So it's very complicated, but we can sit down and work all that out.
One of the things one can keep an eye on, for example, is the maximum level of people in the party, not just in terms of combat, but in terms of the various skills. So to avoid giving them anything they're going to come across that no one in the party could possibly do. If you keep track of the kind of limits of what the party can possibly do, and the number of people present and the amount of apparent combat prowess they've got between them, you can try and scale what you present based on that, like numbers of monsters, the regeneration rate of the monster's health, for example. After all, if there's a lot of people present, then you can expect them as a group to achieve more DPS, and one can try and offset that by having monsters healing faster, so that it takes a group really working together to get the thing down. In terms of how you'd organise yourselves, one of the good things about having the clan system first is that it means that if you want to join a raiding party in a chat channel, it didn't mean leaving your actual clan to do it, which would be all manner of a pain for you guys. So I think we'd very much prefer that. And beyond that, we'd just like to send the entire chat channel in together. Could be 5 of you, could be one person all on his lonesome, could be however many it holds.
I was talking to Phil about this before Christmas, in fact, about the clan system, and he said, well, along with the clan system, it's just as easy to put in a grouping system as well, so we can actually have 3 systems in place at the same time, a more unofficial grouping system, a friends chat system, and a clan system all at once. And then, there's multiple ways players can do it that way.
As long as it stays intuitive to the players how they're handling these things, sounds great.
Absolutely.
Of course, grouping wasn't really something we had back when, Dungeoneering was made.
Yes.
And of course, you might very well have loot share by then as well.
Oh, I'd hope to have that before that.
Yeah.
Providing it passes a poll.
Indeed.
Okay. Halsha asks, will you publish a map of Zeah's safe zones in Deadman mode?
It hasn't got any.
There was no safe zones in Zeah.
I was thinking about this actually.
Yeah.
It's something I saw somebody post earlier today. Was what it would be quite cool is if you couldn't attack anybody who got favour in the same house as you, so it almost creates a faction from that side of things in Deadman mode. I thought that sounded quite cool.
I was just thinking you have some terrific hiding spots. If there's no safe zones around, the only people that are really going to be... Then again, saying that, Skull Hunters will go there. Looking forward to that. That'll be good fun.
I was going to suggest having the churches, like the old idea of sanctuary, but your idea is way better. That'd just be so.
It wasn't my idea; it was player's idea.
Oh,
I just read it.
Oh, okay, you've admitted to that now.
Yeah.
You could have had that.
No.
You're above that, aren't you?
All right. Lupinus asks, how do you decide what's worthy of being pulled in Zeah, such as blood and soul rune crafting, for example?
It boils down to what the impact will be on the existing game. So if there's likely to be a significant impact on it, there's going to be an impact with whatever we do, but if the impact's going to be significant, such as 2 big altars like that, we will poll it. I think anything after release will probably poll, unless it is something that we deem sort of almost critical to keeping it good. So the slight balancing tweaks we probably won't poll in the next couple of weeks because just delay things far too long. But I think anything after release makes sense to poll. But anything, especially for the next 2 phases, anything before that, unless it's going to critically or is going to have a significant impact on the game, we're not going to poll it. Otherwise, we'll end up with a mini game shop and a nice no content.
Okay. Rasht asks, can we get a Grand Exchange in Zeah?
We could very, very easily put a Grand Exchange in Zeah. The reason we haven't is that people were reasonably concerned that everyone might emigrate to Zeah and abandon the whole of Mistlin, Asgarnia, etc. And one of the things that we said to reassure them is there will still be things that are only on the mainland, along with things that are only on Zeah. And the Grand Exchange is one of the things that's only on the mainland for now. If people are ever less worried about it and feel that having a GE on Zeah is totally worth it, even if it means that Varrock is dead for the rest of eternity, we can very easily do that. I don't think we're there yet, though.
I don't think there's any reason to split split the people at the GE up either, really.
I mean, it's just a matter of a teleport, though, isn't it? And it's like 30 seconds longer to teleport to Grok, and then
If there
just
were
come
more
right
teleports back, at the moment getting to Zeah is not easy, partly because they haven't unlocked all the things that would make it easy. Now, if they planted the spirit tree on Zeah and had more than a few hours for it to grow, then it could be they can go straight from the Grand Exchange spirit tree to the Zeah spirit tree.
Somebody has figured out the fairy ring as well.
There's a Karen teleport spell as well that you have to unlock.
Yep.
That'll give you instant access to the centre of Karen.
And there's Xeric's talisman, I think. Xeric?
Eric.
That mage person you invented.
Oh, Zarek. Sorry, I was reading chat.
Yeah.
Zarek.
What's the name of that? Eric? Yeah.
Zarek. Yeah, I think. Yeah, sounds about right.
How many new NPCs have you created?
Oh, I ain't got a clue. I mean, to be fair, I've probably only created kings of 5 houses for 1,500 years, plus another set of kings, so that's probably 150 individuals.
All dead.
All dead. Yeah. I mean, the lore behind Zeah is quite interesting, because what I tried to do when I created it is I tried to create an entire history of the city and sort of the 5 houses, how they came into being, how they interrelated to each other. So we've got this big document with what's happened over the past 1,500 years, and that's probably get that out to the players at some point. I think we're planning on doing a competition for you guys to write some of the lore as well. So we'll give you the information, you can write the lore, and we can put the books in the game, in the library, so there's more books for people to find, because that's where all the lore is currently hidden, in that library.
I could make a wall kit like a sort of stone mausoleum, couldn't I, for every single king in the centre of that church that's in Arceus, and just have all the plaques and stuff there.
Yeah, could do.
That'd be enough. Can I do that? Would that be all right?
It's funny because at the moment it's a pretty ghastly looking green cavern with blood stains, and having it as a kind of monument to favoured royalty is very nice.
Yeah, let's turn that place around.
Yeah, but mind you, we've also got a lot more space for statues in that centrepiece around the statue of King Rada. Don't know if you found it.
I think that's a good thing. There's quite a bit of space for lots of little tweaks like that, so it's nice.
Right. Biomaster asks, there was mention of an achievement diaries being possible with Zeah. When can we expect to see more on this?
I'm sure we will do an achievement diary in future, but it doesn't make sense to do it when we've just released patch 1, really. Otherwise, all the tasks are just going to be things in Korend. So it makes sense to do it when we've got closer to the full release of Zeah.
Definitely. Domino asks, how many different ways will be given to travel to Zeah, aka fairy rings, spirit trees, etc.?
Fairy ring, spirit tree, talisman, standard spellbook, the minigame grouping thing for Farmer Grickler's game, which you, by the way, have to use once before you can unlock that teleport. What else did we do?
Teleport.
Abyss Rift.
Home teleport. Oh, the Abyssal Rifts, if you work out how to unlock them.
Have you mentioned the amulet already?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
I
that's a
think
fair bit.
that covers
7,
it.
yeah.
I'll follow up on a question I'm going to ask later. Asking about house portals. Be able to throw a Zeah portal or a Great Current portal rather.
I'd like to.
To your house.
Yeah,
But
makes sense, yeah.
Maybe not in Great Korend.
Well,
Maybe later on.
Adding a portal to your house is a little more tricky because the existing hotspots are kind of full in terms of what varieties they can handle already. However, adding another portal for you to enter your house so that you can just move house to Zeah, we can do that. If we got a new teleport room type, then we could add more portal options to that. For example, in the new room that John pitched at Runefest, one of the things you could mount there might be a Xeric talisman to let you teleport to the Xeric locations from your POH forever without needing Lizardman fangs.
All right. Let's see here. Dr. Zoidberg asks, can the Dark Essence blocks be changed so they cannot be banked? There's no reason for them to be bankable, and this provides an ability to store runecrafting XP.
Can do. Although the process of getting them out of your bank and taking them around the Dark Altar and chipping them into fragments at that point is not trivial.
Yep.
So it's quite a long way from stored XP in the way of like stored genie lamps would have been.
It's stored XP in the essence that you would be able to get probably the fastest runecrafting hour record. But overall, it's certainly not efficient to go and bank them.
Well, I mean, to even say you've got to. So is it the dark ones that are bankable?
Both the blocks, but once you've chipped it, it's not bankable anymore.
So what he has to do is he has to go get these things charged, go back to drop them in his bank, or turn them into dark essence, drop the blocks back into his bank, and do that over and over again. So he's got a whole load of blocks in his bank. He then has to take them out of his bank,
Chisel them all.
chisel them, and then go and turn them. Can you hold more than 28 things at a time?
It's limited around 28.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So I can't see how that's going to do much at all.
Basically, we're willing to do it, but we're not seeing it as quite such a big deal.
Okay. SK Dude Man asks, why is soul rune crafting so AFKable? Also, why are people easily able to get 50k plus XP per hour when it was voted to be 45k max?
If people are getting over 50k consistently, we'll happily reduce the XP to get it back to what exactly we were aiming for. And that's not a problem. With respect to the AFK stuff, I think it's difficult for us to do something else right now. I'm not sure what to suggest.
When the AFK side of it is getting the blocks.
Yeah, it's doing the mining segment of it.
You click and you wait until your blocks are things. I mean, we could do it so you have to click it each time you get a block, I guess. But would that be much more frustrating than not? I mean, the actual process of making the runes itself isn't AFK at all. Because you've got to run there, you've got to do what you normally do on it, and then you've got to
You do all the chiseling while you're running, and
then you boil down to how you would normally get your rune essence, which is to buy it from a shop. You know, you don't normally go mining it anyway, which is even less at the keyboard, isn't it? So,
and I like that it's a bit different than just, oh, we've released the Blood and Soul altars. You do it in the exact same way of running through the Abyss. Nothing's really any different.
But
and plus, it's locked behind a fairly high rune crafting requirement. Like getting there takes quite a lot of hours.
Yeah, no, I think we need to give time to get some feedback on that. I mean, initial feedback is one thing, but we need to see what people say over the weekend, I think.
But yeah, in terms of the XP rate, if people are getting higher than 45k, which is what we pulled, we'll reduce it until that is the best XP rate.
Okay. Instant asks, will it ever be easier to find the books in the library in Zeah?
They're in the same place for all players on each world, so at the moment it's relatively easy because there's lots of people there that might actually be able to help you without it being an in-game feature from us.
There's an NPC you can talk to.
And of course the library assistant on the top floor who tells you at least roughly where to look for it.
People just rushed in clicking every bookshelf without talking to the NPC and then...
Well,
I think people, once they figured out how it worked and that they could help each other and that the NPC even existed, it got a lot better.
Yes, after all, we didn't tell people about the NPC in advance. People discover that by exploring.
Alright, Jack asks, is it possible to get more than one set of tier 5 armor? If not, can you make it lootable so that after you die you can pick it back up like a torso fire cape?
You can. When you talk to the soldier to get to fight them again, they say, don't you already have a complete set of my armour? And one of the options you can say is, yeah, but I don't mind duplicates. And then you get to fight them again and get more of it.
Now let's give that for prayer books. Maybe. Alright, Cameron asks, can Zeah bring new hairstylist who is better than the bloke in Falador?
How many new hairstyles do you feel like making us?
Oh, I don't know. I can make the last 2 years, it's probably about 20.
Is this still one we haven't released?
Yes, we made a bowl.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
There's not really stylish though, is it? I think they're asking for style there. We're not,
they're not better than the bloke in.
let's give them a tonsure while we're at it.
I think you can have that.
That's good.
Okay. Is that a realistic yes? We can do that, or are we?
If we want to do it, we can do it. Yeah.
Okay, I think that'd be a cool idea.
And the same number for women.
Yeah.
They can have a bowl too. I mean, that's not.
Yes, we modelled both. We modelled the lady bowl to go with the man bowl.
Okay.
I think you're joking.
Good question.
No, it's in the test Alfred stream.
It's true, yeah. I know that.
Ben asks, so this is one relative to the Q&A or the Storytime stream I believe we did with the Gower brothers. He asks, will we see the game rewritten into ASM.js in the long term? Andrew Gower mentioned it in the stream.
It boils down, I guess, to the way you run a computer game is you look at what technologies needs to be out there for the computer game to run. If we ever get to a stage where Java is not supported by operating systems, for example, then we will probably have things to start thinking about. It's not an issue anytime soon. It's unlikely to be an issue ever, but it's things we just have to keep an eye on. And if it is a case where the game is not going to be in its current format be able to be run, we'll have to do something about it. So potentially rewrite it if we need to.
Okay. Alice asks, why don't you want to add endgame content with Zeah? Are there any plans to get a new prayer book with Zeah? I already covered the prayer book one, so why didn't you add endgame content into Zeah?
It's not what it was designed for, really. I mean, do we do this one already?
Well, we've talked about the need to not take the max XP rates and such like out.
We didn't talk about like tier 80 armor or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really what it's designed for. This is primarily a skilling update for the we just haven't done a big skilling update in years, I don't think.
I don't remember us doing a big skilling update.
We've done so many PVM and Slayer updates in 2015, and now we do a skilling one, and people are like, I wanted PVM.
Yes.
Well, there's a reason we didn't do skilling updates for so long. People kept voting in priority polls, talking all the time about PVM updates.
Yeah.
Skillers were very much looking like a minority, but we have finally done something for them.
Yes, yeah. That's the
Sorry
same.
it took so long.
And PVM's going to have a massive part on Zeah with raids coming in.
Yes, yeah. That's going to be...
There's certainly room there still.
Yeah.
It's going to be really funny on PvP worlds.
Yeah, I mean, that will be your end game content, will be the raid stuff. If you go in with a big group of end game people, then it will be end game content. But this is not what it's designed for. It's there for the majority of skillers who like skilling of all levels and give a bit of something to everybody.
A bit of variety.
Yeah, exactly.
For what it's worth, when people have said, why is the shades in armour like practically cosmetic? Well, it is kind of cosmetic. It's just the armour you can get to prove that you did get your way to 100% favour with their house. Once you've got it, you can keep it and go train with another house and get their rewards. But if we had made it, best in slots, make all that rubbish from the God Wars dungeon redundant, and just had it as something you could grind on Zeah for and get from the soldiers, I don't think you'd be very pleased. Yeah. And I'm not sure you'd have voted for it either.
I saw a picture tweeted from a player that was an initiate up here, 20 defense, and he was wearing, I think it was the tier 5, and he said that was replacing his gear, because when he died, he could just run back and pick it up. So there eliminates the risk, and it looks way cooler than initiate. Yeah. So there you go.
I think in case it ends up being really popular in, say, PvP, if you die to a PKer, I think it turns into cash for the PKer.
Ooh, let's do that for all untradables. Still yet to pull that one. All right. Let's see here. D'Amato. To the people who worked on Zeah, what was your favorite and most challenging pieces of content to work on?
I liked writing the lore.
Just go around
all the stories, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get me a say, I'm thinking.
What was your favorite?
My favourite bit of work, making the mini games.
Not the Wicker Man.
That was a 2-minute thing.
What was most challenging?
Most challenging.
Getting up in the morning after a late night. I think that's probably most challenging for most people, wasn't it?
The late hours, mapping.
Yeah, there wasn't really a challenging bit. The whole thing was
Zeah wasn't a challenge. Quoted Mod Alfred.
Yeah.
That
wasn't an outstanding one.
In the favourite part, so I worked on Pisca Aurelius, so my favourite part of that is the thieving activity you can do, just because it's quite challenging, and seeing people fail is really fun. Yeah.
It's fair.
I like designing all of the altars in their respective areas and making sure that each of them was different from the other but still complemented the other, if that makes sense. And also the music that was added over the top of them just kind of added to that. And I had like a nice sort of like experience when I went to Soul Altar especially, and experienced that area with the music, and I thought it was just phenomenal. Really good.
It was nice.
Thank you.
Most challenging? Gareth?
Most challenging? Mapping Pisca Aurelius on those docks with all those different height map levels. That'll probably mean nothing to anyone that's watching, but creating docks and then buildings on top of docks that merge to land with other buildings on, it's a nightmare. So yeah, I hated that.
Tell us how you really feel. Ash?
I think the tithe farming minigame is one of the first bits of Zeah I worked on, and it just felt like putting something together that worked fairly quickly and was different to what farming traditionally is, but still is the same actions, just in a completely different way. It was just very satisfying to put that one together, especially as it came together so quickly. We got the core of the code done in like one afternoon and plugged the graphics in at the same time, and that's very rapid compared to most development work we ever get to do. The other thing I enjoyed was the blast mining, because that is also quite a lot of steps of things that are different, but it's fun, it looks cool, and you get the same ores you're used to, but in a different way. I just enjoyed putting that all together.
Nothing was challenging?
I think everything was pretty challenging, just in different ways, but yeah, there was a lot of code involved, especially trying to get those brigand spawns, the gangsters that Captain Ginia from the Shazian area sends you after. That was really quite challenging. Hopefully it'll be all right. We've not had any complaints about it so far in terms of people saying it's not working, so I'm optimistic. Anyway, if it isn't, we'll fix it. And also writing Karen the Magnificent, that's a track I really enjoyed writing.
Where can they find that one?
It's played the first time you land on Zeah, so everyone who's been to Zeah will have had it unlocked. And it's also played in the central area with the statue of King Vrada in the middle.
Okay. Should we credit the rest of the music tracks? Because there are a few new ones as well.
Yeah.
Mod Bond from the audio team wrote us 5 tracks for this. That's most of the music that came out in the update. And I think he did it in his spare time too, as a favour to the team, so we're very, very grateful to him.
Very nice.
You can tweet him at JagXBond. He wrote The Militia, Country Jig, Dwarven Domain, I think we called it.
Arcane.
Down by the Docks.
Down by the
yeah.
Docks. To those I added 4 that I'd written in my spare time. Karen the Magnificent, Soulfall, The Forlorn Homestead, I think I called it, and Rugged Terrain at the south end of the Shazian area.
There you go.
I think blast mining was my favourite to work on. Just this really neat activity. And the most challenging was balancing it, to be honest. So many steps involved that
Can we also?
that's quite a spreadsheet.
Sorry to interrupt. We
Oh,
don't
go on, I'm done.
Okay.
Unbelievable mod ghost.
He speaks.
Yeah.
You're a very rude man.
Well, it's not the first time
You
someone
don't say
said
anything
that.
all stream, and that's when you decide to talk.
I've said plenty, Kieran. I'm not done yet. Right, yeah. Right, so
What just happened to the stream? Alright, go on.
it was going to be short and sweet. Now it's just awkward, to be honest. I was just going to thank Alan from the RS3 team that created a lot of our props for House Shazian and Arceus and Lovacaine, and some Persidious as well. And I don't think we'd be able to have get the graphics to such high standard without
There's
his
been a lot of
help.
help from everybody sort of around JagX to get this done, which has been quite wonderful.
I don't know his mod name. I don't even know if he's on social
Don't think he
media,
has
to
a
be
mod
honest. No.
AOB.
Is it AOB? Mod AOB. There we go.
There you go.
Alright.
So
Next
you made
question
people
then.
cringe.
And for that matter, in the blast mining, the mapping of the machinery in there was Jed's, which originally it was a much simpler machine, but we realised we really needed you to be able to deposit stuff into hoppers more places around it, and that was quite a fiddly bit of mapping you did for me there. Thank you.
How long you been with us now?
Just over a month, I think.
Yeah, so a month,
Lost
and
track.
he's putting out
Already helping with
content
making
already.
the Christmas event.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's he's fantastic. Really, what? Nothing more to add than that. Carry on.
And we're getting another one where that came from.
Yes.
There's
I had an
nothing
email
more.
today saying check out all these CVs. I was like,
There's nothing more awkward than people trying to be sincere and nice, is there?
Yeah, you gotta throw some banter into it. You gotta be like, just kidding.
I
Yeah.
think you found
Terrible.
something more awkward.
By just pointing it out. Yeah, fair enough. Apparently, pointing out people being sincere and nice being awkward makes things more awkward. We've discovered this.
Moving swiftly on. Yeah. moving
just
on.
that's all right,
awkward.
guys. We still like it.
We're moving on. All right, next question. Chief Iron asks, why aren't there massive walls to separate the cities? I was thinking about this. You think Varrock has big walls around it, right? So does Falador.
I did think about in the initial design. We did talk about having walls to separate the entire thing and make it, more of a walled city, I suppose is the right word for it. But there is no other way into that city other than through the main from Zeah into the city through where the lizardmen are attacking anyway, and all the defensive stuff is. So there's no reason to have walls because it's just a big rock face which marks the edge of the city quite nicely.
Surrounded like by mountains, the ocean, and lizard men.
Yes.
Yes. So Kourend is fairly well walled in just by its geography, which is presumably why the settlers would have liked living there, because
indeed.
they were well defended from whatever nasties live outside it,
Yes.
like the Wintertod, which they seem to have met if you read some of their histories.
Yes.
I think as well, if they're referring to the different houses in the city, then they should take to note that it's actually one big city that's just split between houses. So
Yes. And also, for all they are rivals, they still have to deal with each other because the fishermen are no use if they've got no one to sell the fish to.
I mean, if you read the original lore as well about how the city was settled, if you've been to the library and read the books, I was watching Emily earlier, tried to get her to read a book, and she's like, no, not reading a book. Oh, sod you then. But you read the history. Some of the history behind it tells you that it was created by one person. So when it was originally created, there would be no reason to segregate it, and that's how the city first came about. There's one person created it, and then the houses sort of went off from there. From I think it was just 5 sons.
And what is our founder's name?
Rada.
Rada.
Or Rada. It would go with Rada, isn't it? It's only got one D in it.
All right.
Raider.
Rada.
Next question then. Ruick, do the lizard men drop anything decent? There were rumors of a dragon warhammer.
We have not included a Dragon Warhammer in this update. Again, this wasn't meant to be another PVM update because you guys started getting a bit sick of all the PVM updates we did last year, especially Slayer ones. So we've taken a real break from that. But there's a lot of scope for having bigger lizard men, boss lizard men, why not? Hero lizard men that have the chances of giving you stuff that you might want. And that would be a fair way to introduce it if people like us to.
But as for the drop tables, we're not sharing specifically.
The lizard men drop tables include, the fangs, which allow you to teleport around Zeah, which could be quite handy because they could charge that talisman, and of course there's talisman itself, which you will need in the first place. But there's and also Zerikian fabric.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
The fabric that's still got some of Zerik's old magic in it that lets you make that low-level magic armor that's it's not as high as Mystic, but it's got lower requirements than Mystic. Might fill it.
It fills a gap that we had, really.
Yeah.
Going by how RuneScape typically works with monsters similar to this, you think of like a snake skin and like D-hide from dragons. You'd almost expect like a lizard hide skin type armor.
Yeah, we thought about that, and then we realised that unless we started going beyond the top-end gear, we didn't have that many gaps to plug into.
Yeah.
So we decided that we didn't want to go beyond the top-end gear, especially as we hadn't polled doing anything of the sort. We can do, though. If we did, we'd probably insist that you combine the lizard hide with snake hide so that snake hide gets a use again.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Makes sense.
Okay. Couple more questions here. We've got 12 minutes left. We'll try to fit in all the important ones. So let's see. NC asks, can you add clue scroll locations to Zeah?
Want to?
I think if we do an expansion to it, it's perfect.
I'd love to. I really would. What we shouldn't do, though, is just spread the existing clue scrolls out over like twice as much landmass, because that's just annoying to the people who are trying to get the stuff out.
You'd probably want new rewards
Yeah.
if we were to do something.
So if we did have more locations, we should probably bring in more rewards alongside it, which would also be fun, but a lot more graphically intensive.
Okay. Ready for this
Did
one?
someone say graphically intensive?
Oh yes. Welcome to the team. You may have noticed.
You look scared.
I was.
Actually,
It's a
got a
genuine fright.
lot of yeses in that.
Well, it's been a long time since we last did a clue scroll update, and people often ask about other random bits of kit, like the Wise Old Man's beard. I think we may have done that one, but there's other interesting beards out there.
Yeah.
The gnome child hat.
The ability to walk like a drunk person.
Oh, that'd be great for
Yeah.
PKing. Imagine running away from a team. This is the big question. You ready? Zora asks, why did you decide to add memes into Zeah?
You see, we thought about this. We thought we'll do some. We won't do an awful lot. So we added 100, 200, 300 NPCs, and we've got four NPCs that talk about memes in there, and that's it. 4 out of hundreds, and they all make sense. They're in there. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. there's 4 of them. None of them you have to talk to.
I think it's not such a bad thing if you release an update, and the worst thing people have to say about it is I didn't like some of the dialogue.
Yes.
On an NPC you didn't have to talk to.
Yes.
Also, for the record, Ghost, who did the lizard animation, the attack animation,
That's a real
had not
move in
seen
martial
the
arts.
skill spec 73.
Yeah, and that the whole 73 stuff, that's just you finding stuff that isn't there, it
Complete
really isn't, you know.
coincidence. But, I mean, it's already level 73. Ash plugged in the stats for the Lizard Man, and it just turned out that happened to be combat level 73.
Yeah.
They're
So-
the middle lizard man. So I based the lower level lizard man on an existing monster and tweaked its bonuses to suit the fact they're lizard hide rather than more fleshy. And I based the lizard man brutes on a tougher version of that monster, and then just picked numbers roughly halfway in between. Turns out the combat level calculated from that is 73, which I don't even see at my end until I've booted up the game and gone in there. I looked at it, so yep, that's a reasonable level. It's not extraneous, and it'll suit the maths involved in the drop table. It's deciding how regularly to give you Lizardman fangs from it. But the significance of, have we done anything that involves the number 73 that's important to the players? No, I honestly didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I don't follow a lot of the stuff that these memes come from. I do admit that the dialogue with the librarian in the library, that one was mine. But if you've been going through that conversation, you may have noticed it's not an entirely serious conversation. She just keeps shushing you. And if you keep talking to her, the conversation does get increasingly outlandish as your character has the option of saying different things to see if she gets a different response from her. And to be honest, you don't really need to keep doing that if it's bothering you.
Yes.
You've got that really good one in the Arceus pub about the, the spirits.
That's a
wasn't
meme.
really-
That's not a meme, it's just a joke.
That's a dad
It's a
joke.
funny joke.
Yes. There are a fair few dad jokes kicking around and stuff that are references to things which we certainly know about, but I don't think much of the community will probably pick up on.
For what it's worth, if anyone's got a kind of beer they'd like us to put on the bartender in the Arceus pub, we will very happily get him to sell actual drinks. The reason he doesn't sell drinks is, firstly, we got this joke on my mind. Secondly, there wasn't a whole lot we wanted to put in there. Like, another source of Wizard's Mind Bomb isn't really going to benefit the game so much.
Yes. So there we go. So there are 4 memes. You found all 4 of them. Well done.
Bingo.
Maybe if Achievement Diaries comes to Zeah at some point.
Go
Diary.
talk to the meme NPCs.
All right, we're going to move on to a couple questions here that have images to go along with them, if that's all right. Cool. So Ashadur asks, can you please allow us to move this tab or make it an expandable icon? There you go. So the only complaints coming in
Yeah, I mean, I
are in
must admit,
fixed mode.
what I would like to do actually, on top of this, is have something which removes your entire interface. So you can have take screenshots or make videos, as the case may be, without your interface being on
Well, I
there.
mean, with Resizable, you can minimize the chat and the inventory, but you can't hide the minimap.
It's all sensing a rather good idea for what to do with that interface, actually. Like, you know, the purple icon for all those tasks is the exact same shape as the achievement icon and quest icon and minigame icon. Well, those 3 things have the tab, the side panel.
Yeah.
And if we added a 4th state to that for purple, then we could have shown your favour there, just on a side panel. You don't need to see it all the time. It wouldn't interfere with head-up displays, which is a problem that ModMaz kindly solved for us by making it vanish based on what else you've got going on at the time, and making it avoid your XP counter. If we just move it from being a head-up display to being on this side panel as one of the options, so you could just turn it off if you don't want to see it, I think that would get away from every single problem at once.
Agree.
I like
actually
that.
got this as a question coming up with the picture and actually as well.
Yeah, he
So-
tweeted it to me earlier, which is how I know about it.
Yeah. So you guys can see exactly what Ash is talking about momentarily.
Awesome.
A couple more pictures here still, though. Stop asks, can we see the black edges in the old school map be filled with land and water like this?
Yeah, we did want to do
Hooray.
that for launch. Didn't we get the rest of the map done? But you know, it was a case of delay the launch or do this, and you know.
Well, adding more edging to the map of Zeah, we
did
would have
that
delayed the
initially.
launch because it's quite big. As for the bit south of the Feldup Hills, the east end of Mauritania and the bottom of the desert, those we certainly could do, although we've hesitated so far from blocking off the scope for expansion there for actual content. like, for example, if people wanted us to add more chin-chomper spots, for example, we can extend beyond the Jungle Hunter area into do that kind of thing.
I do like that map, but I think often in games design you have to prioritise, and that map is not going to be viewable from the client currently. And most of the time people walking around the game will rely on the mini-map, and it's more about the content within the land. So focusing so much on the sort of like peripheral areas of an island, delaying a release for it isn't something that we'd do, I don't think.
Having like 4 or 5 map squares just made of redwood trees doesn't really add anything, is the problem.
What we have done with Zeah, well, I say we, I mean I think you,
And
is
Alfred.
indeed have ensured that every time you come up to the edge of where you can explore in Zeah, it isn't just a black line where the world stops. There's a whopping great big mountain going off into the distance and you can't see the other side of it, so the edge of the world isn't in your face.
Okay. Another image coming up here. Let's see. John Douglas asks, can we get the Zeah info displayed like this? I think this is...
God, I hope so, because I kept talking about it.
Yep. So there you see the purple representing Zeah. You click on that, find all your Zeah info there, which you already all said yes for.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, I like it.
Cool, then next question. Can we see some low-level content added? It's strange to see there are no places to mine before level 15 or fish. So that's really low level, actually.
Yes, yeah, so bottom newbie.
It's like right off Tutorial Island, head to Zeah.
Oh, I mean, we can, I don't see why not.
Well, we certainly can. We didn't think it was beneficial or necessary, but it turns out there was a Zeah-only Iron Man being trundling around out here.
That was us, we should have guessed that, really,
It's
shouldn't we?
expected.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
Yeah, stick a few things on there, I guess, at some point.
Okay.
It's easy enough with mining rocks.
Yeah.
4 minutes, a bunch more Zeah questions. We'll try to power through these. Complication, why isn't the Kuren teleport obtainable from all houses? Seems unreasonable to have only in one.
Because it's magic, and there's a magic house.
Okay.
When they say the Kuren teleport, it's obtainable by just reading that book. You don't have to be aligned to the house or anything.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Noise, I know you didn't want to implement any new best XP per hour methods, but the amount of stuff you do for favors seems slightly unrewarding. Do you plan on buffing rewards in the future?
A lot of the things that players have been able to do at first is not very rewarding because it's the thing that gets you towards a level of favour where you can do the thing that is rewarding. So if getting to 100% in the Hasidius house and accessing Farm Agricola's tithe farming thing is not rewarding, then we should address it. And I would be up for making it a little easier to get there as well, by the way, because at the moment it is, I think, slower than intended. But the idea was not that you could just do the entry-level tasks and come away feeling that you'd been massively rewarded for doing so.
Yeah. That, and it's much better to obviously have to give something a little buff than to nerf it.
Yes, if we had released Zeah so good that everybody abandoned the rest of the continent and moved there and people saying, no one's ever going to trade construction again because you've made gilded altars useless, I think that would be an entirely different complaint.
Alright, Alfie94, can packs of compost be added to farming shops to allow Iron Men to make fertilizer for Hasidius at a decent rate? Too quick?
I think wait until after we've looked at Hasidius, I think, before we address that. I mean, one of the ideas that I think one of the ideas that several of us have had is to buff the ploughing. So you do more ploughing, you move the compost up, so it's a higher. You do less of it, so it makes it easier, and you do more ploughing, and it's just faster to do ploughing.
I think
That will solve that issue,
after
but-
we've had about more than just a few hours of everything in game, we'll have a much better idea at what needs buffing, what needs faster rates, and that's a good example. And where else we can move tasks up a little bit and move tasks down. Definitely.
And it's always going to be the case. The way to look at Zeah is, at the moment, it is a canvas where we've put the basic brush strokes on it. Now we need to detail everything based on what you guys want to see on there.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that
rather
is
nice
beautiful.
that.
Yeah,
Just to prove to the people who say I just had a stroke, I hadn't had a stroke.
Yeah.
But yes, that's basically that's what the next step of it is listen to what you guys say and then tweak it to be what you want it to be. I mean, any developer who thinks they can release a bit of content to be exactly what the players want on launch is
Did you
kidding
cover
themselves.
did you cover the canvas in titanium white?
Yes.
Yeah, it's awkward.
I wish I got that joke.
Well, the whole chat gets it.
Right, okay, yeah.
it's just me.
5 questions.
You are, you know Bob Ross.
Yeah, it's a Bob.
Oh,
Ross.
him.
That's
Right.
Bob Ross. Yeah, you guys are our Bob Rosses to our
Careful.
yeah
To our
that-
Tony Harts, that's fine.
to our Tony
yeah.
Harts.
So I
Yeah.
thought these were the people who didn't like memes.
5 questions. We're actually out of time. Let's do yes or no's. Abir, can pushing the farming equipment give strength XP as well?
No,
Really?
No.
Oh, man.
we're
Mining.
getting taken over by Pures.
Hey.
We'd like this to be available to, well, level 3 skillers apart from anything else.
Yes.
Okay. Mining, can you add a marker for the NPCs you have to talk to when start helping each house in Zeah, or somewhat of a tutorial for
Yeah.
beginners?
I think we did add icons to the NPCs who give you tasks. The purple thingy.
Okay. There you go.
Most tasks are self-explanatory and don't really need a tutorial, to be honest.
Does the Burning Wicker Man do anything, and can it do something?
Not yet.
It looks awesome.
It can do something.
Dalates asks, will there be an option to add a Zeah portal? Already asked that one, sorry. Jake, have you already got an idea of what updates you'd like to see with Zeah for the next week?
No.
Well, that interface
Well,
thing that I
bits and
wouldn't mind
bobs
doing.
maybe.
Yeah,
last
that's a good
question.
one.
Can't guarantee it for next week though.
Rust asks, will there be any higher level lizard men with more complex combat mechanics like a lizard boss?
Maybe at some
Possibly.
point.
I
Yeah.
think we've
I
been
want
there.
to do some. We
Yeah.
wanted to, didn't we?
Yeah. Maybe at some point.
If you have to make a melee animation that's more impressive than the one you made this time,
So what we'd have to do is get it doing that spin 73 times, and that'll be fine.
I think you're right. Yeah.
it could just kick you.
Okay.
Tail sweeps. They'll attack you with
They'll
tail.
have longer tails, perhaps.
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
take the
Yeah, it
tail
does
out
have
of
a
the
very
shoulders.
short tail, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Or like a tail poke.
They can have like a massive club on the back of the tail. They can turn around
They can
and
hold
you flying
stuff.
across the floor.
You just do dinosaurs.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Dance.
Zeah Q&A over. Out of questions, we'll have several more next week, I'm sure. Aside from that, if you haven't gone and tried it, go ahead.
Yes. And what's really important as well is make sure you give us your feedback. Tell us the whys you don't like stuff, the whys you do like stuff, what you would do to improve stuff as well, because that's how we're going to make it what you want it to be.
I want you to check it out, listen to it, explore with the music on, because it's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. Cool. Aside from that, we'll thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Merry Christmas.